I have to hand it to you, Jimmy. I just happened to be reading your new book during the break, and you said, you don't have to hold it up. I'm sure your publisher must think you're a splendid guy.
Yeah, no, it's no.
But, yeah, it looks like Plug-ola.
Yes, let's not do that. Let's keep it on a better level.
And there's so many books called He Got Hungry and Forgot His Manners. How are they going to know which one it is anyway?
Absolutely.
Where were we? I'd say I'd threatened earlier to raise the landmine subject of Northern Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that dispassionately? You don't have to. But.
Oh, sure. I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I mean, it's a fairly straightforward assumption as far as I'm concerned that 20 years after the British troops went in, things are worse than ever. Page 3 of the New York Times today has explosion, more people killed. It just gets worse, and you've got to change the dynamic. You've got to change something fundamental there, and the only thing that will change is if you remove one of the major protagonists. And I think the British have got to realise that long term, it's their Vietnam. They have to get out.
Do you think they do see it that way yet?
I think they see it one other way too. I think the way I don't raise that blacks out of left field here in our problems in this country. I think with the British, with all their reasonableness, with all their coolness, with all their heritage of law, the moment they're confronted with the Irish, they see the Irish the way we see the blacks. They completely fall apart. They lose all ability to think, and they just react. Kill them. Be off with them. There's a streak of insanity runs through them when they're asked to deal intelligently with Irish. They don't believe they are on the same plane with them, and they cannot handle it. And
are you suggesting that Mrs. Thatcher is not a reasonable woman?
It's bigotry.
She's a racist, which is Irish.
No question. And she's not alone. She's a great target for everyone because she is so haughty and so arrogant, but she's only one of, she represents the whole. They can't handle the Irish. That's all there is to it. And I think when they face that is when you begin to get some reasonable thought about the conclusion of this nasty situation.
What starts a prejudice like that? Can you ever think it?
It starts with occupation, really, because the mentality of the colonial, in the British case, they've been 800 years in Ireland. For 789 of them, they've treated the Irish like dirt. And it really, as Jimmy says, I mean, they have been enlightened in other countries, there's no question. They withdrew from India, they withdrew from a lot of the subcontinent when they were over there, and they realised they had to get out. But when it comes to Ireland, they have this sense of, not in my backyard, nobody's going to push me around. And they basically fundamentally misunderstand the issue over there. They think it's an issue of colonialism. It's actually about occupation. It's about them having to basically confront them.
We have to take a break here. I didn't mean to cut you there. It was a mechanical problem. But I gather nobody here is going to defend England in this.
What did you write about them one time?
Well, I believe that's, I'm right. I think you use unreasonable language to try and call attention to an unreasonable subject. A lot of times, I think this straight, staid, old-fashioned way of writing to be cool and reflective on a burning topic is wrong.
Gentleman of letters.
Yes, I think that's wrong. I think also to mince about when you've got anything this basic serves no one. I think that half the trouble, more than half the trouble, in Israel is that they think of the Palestinians as lesser people. They regard the Palestinians the way we regard the blacks in this country and the way the British regard the Irish in Northern Ireland.
Down deep, that's
Let's put it out on the table. I think once you can recognize your flaws, you can begin to deal with it. But they don't. They want to blame it on the Lebanese border or 2 Syrians or something. Right. Let's look in the mirror. The fault isn't in the stars.
Right.
That's not your own line, is it?
No, it's a good one, though. I think I'll use it. I like it.
By the way, here's an article in the Irish Voice, Priest Rescues Slave Girl. Is this an attempt to capture the Murdoch market, or can you explain, can you justify it?
Well, what we were doing there was basically highlighting what happens in 1989 in New York, where you have a young Irish girl basically imprisoned by an employer, working...
Imprisoned by?
An employer.
An employer, yeah.
Working 100 hours a week for $100. Has been doing it for 3 years, made several attempts to get away. In each case was pursued by the employer and brought back. And eventually this priest became aware of the situation and went out to the house, and as he said himself, Operation Rescue actually freed her. Mm-hmm. And we just put it like that because we want people to know the yuppie Irish and the Irish doing well in New York to know that what's happening in their town right now to people not unlike them when they first came here, that is actually going on. So you'll excuse the headline if we...
Now, would your competitor not be caught dead with a headline like that?
I don't think they'd print that, no. I don't think they'd be into that kind of stuff. They might think that's a bit sensational, but as Jimmy says, it's a cacophony of noise. You've got to get attention, you've got to grab it.
But just out of curiosity, are there advertisers rushing over to you?
I think so. It's working.
Yeah.
I mean, in our first year, obviously, that's a major target for us, and I think it's working out pretty good.
We have only 30 seconds left. Jamie, has anybody in Washington, with all your contacts in the under and over world, asked your advice on the drug problem? You have 15 seconds to answer.
When you have large neighborhoods of people who can't read and write very well and who can't get jobs, and suddenly they find that your son can get a job for $250 a week as a lookout for a crack dealer, am I supposed to tell him don't take the job?
We'll be back perhaps with that subject on another time. Thank you, gentlemen, both for being here.
Thank
Both
you.
about papers.